My own son left me at a nursing home on my birthday, but what happened a week later made him beg me. On my 62nd birthday, I wore my best sweater and did my hair. I thought Brandon, my only son, was taking me to lunch. He arrived with flowers and told me to get ready. I was excited, but instead of a restaurant, he drove me to Willow Pines Senior Living Facility. I was shocked. He said I couldn't live alone anymore and claimed I had memory problems. Then I saw my suitcase already packed in the trunk. Inside, he handed over legal papers. He had taken power of attorney. They led me to a small room. That was my birthday gift. I didn't cry, not yet, but what happened next made my son beg me. Days passed. I barely ate. I felt like I didn't matter. I stared out the small window in my room at Willow Pines, wondering how my life had changed so quickly. A week ago, I was home, hopeful that my son would take me out for my birthday. Now, I was just a name on a chart in a place I didn't choose. But then something changed. A nurse named Ruby came in one day. She had warm eyes and a voice that didn't talk down to me like the others. She looked at me closely and said, "You don't belong here." At first, I thought she was just being kind. But later that day, she returned. She quietly handed me something. It was an old lottery ticket, yellowed at the edges. "We found it in a Bible that belonged to a resident who passed," she whispered. "No one claimed it." I stared at the ticket. It looked old, but something told me to check it. That night, when the halls were quiet and most of the residents had gone to bed, I slipped into the lounge. I sat at the dusty computer in the corner and typed in the numbers. My heart stopped. The screen flashed the winning message. I blinked. I looked again. It couldn't be. But it was. I had won millions. My hand covered my mouth. I felt dizzy. This couldn't be real. I looked around the empty room, making sure no one saw me. I printed the confirmation and folded it tightly. I slipped it into my bra and went back to my room without saying a word. The next morning, I found Ruby and asked her if I could speak to a lawyer privately. She didn't ask why. She just nodded. Later that day, she introduced me to a man named Aaron. He was a volunteer attorney who helped seniors with legal matters. We sat in a tiny office near the kitchen. I showed him the printed ticket confirmation and whispered, "Can you help me disappear?" He looked surprised, but not shocked. He nodded slowly. "We'll have to move fast," he said. Over the next few days, Aaron and Ruby helped me plan my escape. Aaron set up a blind trust. He arranged a new identity and helped me purchase a small house in Tennessee under a different name. Ruby gave me clothes that didn't belong to me, and Aaron brought a duffel bag for my essentials. Just before dawn, I left Willow Pines. I didn't say goodbye to anyone except Ruby. She hugged me tightly and whispered, "Don't forget us when you're free." I rode a bus out of town, my head low, sunglasses on. Every stop made my heart jump. I clutched the duffel like it held my soul. In a way, it did. The house in Tennessee was small. 1 story. Brick walls. A crooked mailbox. But it was mine. It had silence. The kind that doesn't feel empty but full. I hid the lottery ticket in a fireproof box under the floorboards. For a few days, I lived like a ghost. I cooked small meals, sat on the porch, and watched the wind move the trees. I felt peace for the first time in a long while. Then a letter came. No return address. The paper was thick and smooth. Inside was a loan document I had never seen. It had my name and signature. But I knew I didn't sign it. My stomach turned. I pulled out a folder where I had started saving old documents. I found more forged papers. More lies. Tax forms I had never filed. Loans I had never taken. Brandon had been stealing from me and my late husband for years. I sent copies of everything to the Department of Justice. Not to make noise, but to leave a trail. In case something happened to me. Soon after, Brandon went on the news. He claimed I was missing and mentally unwell. He said he was worried about me. Then he filed in court to take control of my money. But I wasn't afraid. I showed up in court with Aaron. Calm. Ready. I handed the judge a psychiatric report proving I was of sound mind. I brought logs, receipts, and proof that Brandon had put me in Willow Pines without consent. I looked Brandon in the eye and told the truth. He took my phone, my freedom, and now he wants my dignity. The judge ruled in my favor. I walked out with my head held high. Brandon looked like he had seen a ghost. A few weeks later, Brandon was charged with fraud. I didn't celebrate. I stayed quiet. Then I started something new. I used my winnings to start a foundation. A place to help elders who were taken advantage of. I called it the Margaret Project. And on the first snow of January, I sat by my fireplace, folded my hands, and whispered to myself, "You're free now." Not just from the nursing home. Not just from Brandon. But from the silence that held me for too long. I had found my voice again. And I wasn't giving it up.